In the heart of a small village in Anambra State, Nigeria, a baby boy named Naeto was born. Naeto was different from other children in the village. He had albinism, a condition that made his skin, hair, and eyes much lighter than those of his family and neighbors. From a young age, Naeto faced the harsh realities of being different in a community steeped in superstition and fear. Netochukwu's mother, Ngozi, loved him dearly and did everything she could to protect him. She knew the dangers that lurked for children like Neto. In their village, albinism was often seen as an omen of bad luck, or worse, as sources of magical power. Witch doctors spread tales that the body parts of albinos could bring wealth and success, leading to horrific attacks and killings. Despite his mother's effort, Nato life was filled with challenges. In the village, whenever Nato would step out to go to the stream to fetch water, other children would start making jests of him by calling him different names like Afin, Yellow Pawpaw. There was an incident once that took place in the village stream. As Nato hurriedly fetched water and was about to leave, he did not see the stone clearly that laid in his front. He mistakenly stepped on it, and the next thing he landed on the ground with his bucket broken. The next thing was an uproar of laughter by those children who saw him. They made a mockery of the situation, that he could not see during the daytime, that he was a blind bat. That is why his type cannot join the army or police force because of their bad eyesight. In shame, Neto Chukwu stood up in tears and ran to the house. On getting home, he ran into his room and locked himself up. After much pleading by his mom, he then came out and hugged his mom. Nato was enrolled in a school because of his passion for drawing, but at school, that is supposed to be a safe haven for him, he also faced discrimination from the other children. They would call him names like Ghost, White Goat, and some even refused to sit next to him. Teachers, fearing for their own safety, often ignored the bullying. Nato only solace was his love for drawing. He would spend hours under the shade of a tree sketching the world around him with a stick in the dirt. One day, a new teacher named Mr. Chike arrived at the school. Unlike the others, Mr. Chike saw Nato potentials and encouraged his artistic talent. He introduced Nato to colored pencils and papers, opening up a new world for the young boy. Nato drawing began to reflect not just the beauty of his surroundings, but also his dreams and aspirations. However, the villagers' fear and ignorance were not easily overcome. One evening, as Nato was returning home from school, he was ambushed by a group of men. They believed that capturing Nato would bring them fortune. Terrified, Nato managed to escape and ran to the village elder, Baba Zuma, for help. Baba Zuma, a wise and respected figure, had always been a voice of reason in the village. He gathered the community and spoke passionately about the importance of protecting all children, regardless of their appearances. He reminded them that albinism was a genetic condition, not a curse, and that Nato deserved to live without fear. Moved by Baba Zuma's words, the villagers began to change their attitude. They started to see Nato not as an omen, but as a talented, kind-hearted boy. With the support of his community, Nato's confidence grew. Nato's attackers, realizing the gravity of their actions and the challenging sentiment of the community, was filled with fear and regret. Baba Zuma, known for his wisdom and fairness, decided to address the situation in a way that would promote healing and understanding. He called for a village meeting where the attackers were brought forward. Instead of punishment, Baba Zuma proposed a path of reconciliation. The attackers were required to publicly apologize to Nato and his family. They were also tasked with community service, helping to rebuild and improve the village, and participating in educational sessions about albinism and human rights. This approach not only ensured that the attackers faced the consequences of their action, but also fostered a sense of unity and learning within the village. Over time, the attackers became advocates for the protection and inclusion of people with albinism, using their experience to educate others and prevent future discrimination. Naeto, with his forgiving nature, accepted the apology and continued to focus on his art and advocacy. The village, once divided by fear and superstition, grew stronger and more united, setting an example for neighboring communities. Nato continued to draw, and his artwork began to gain recognition beyond the village. Years later, Nato's drawings were displayed in galleries across Nigeria, and he became an advocate for the rights of people with albinism. His story inspired many to challenge their prejudice and embrace diversity. Nato's journey from fear to acceptance showed that with understanding and compassion, even the deepest rooted superstition could be overcome. I hope you enjoyed this story. We have come to the end of this story. If you found this story interesting, please stay glued to this channel. Biagli Stories promises to bring you yummy, scintillating